Welcome to the Founders Odyssey podcast, where we aim to educate, inspire, and create a supportive community for you, the founder. Today, we are joined with seasoned entrepreneur, author, speaker, and investor, Tyler Buechler, whose vast knowledge of business, optimization of humans, psychology, human teams, and performance has led to him developing, implementing, and scaling a payment processing and software development company from nothing to a multi-million-dollar empire. In a pursuit to live his most impactful life, Tyler has stepped down as a co-founder to step up to his calling to help entrepreneurs realize and leap towards their greatest potential. Thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I appreciate that, Nathan. Thank you.
So what's the weather like there where you're at?
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm originally from North Dakota, so any place is beautiful for me, but I'm in Nashville, Tennessee right now, and I love it. It's sunny and probably about 55.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Well, I know that's one thing that we'll get into on this here conversation, and we're excited to just dive into this. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you're going, and we'll dive into deeper how you've gotten to the point where you're at today.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. So I myself, like I said, I grew up in North Dakota, and I grew up in a family on a small family dairy farm in the middle of absolutely nowhere in North Dakota. It was a very, very grassroots, blue collar, work with your hands kind of life growing up, but I loved it. It was fantastic. So I worked out on the dairy farm, and the first job that I ever had actually when I was in high school is I started doing concrete construction. So continuing some of that trend. And when I decided to go to college, I was always a math and science geek, very contradictory to how I originally grew up, but it was what I was interested in. And so I went for microbiology and biotechnology when I was in school. And again, another transition happened when I was at North Dakota State University, ended up meeting somebody that got us into business. And so I had a couple of friends in college and the three of us got started in business, and it blew our minds. It expanded our world and got us so excited about something brand new. None of the three of us had any business background, and so it was completely foreign to us, but the idea of being in control of our own destiny, being able to decide what we do, how much we make, how we impact people, it really just drove something in us that we didn't really know existed before that. And so it ultimately led to the companies that we started, and through all those transformations in life has brought me to where I am now, in which I want to help other people do the same.
Dairy farming.
Yes.
That is incredible. Talk to me more about dairy farming and how that has shaped you to be the man you are today, because that is hard work. Farmers are hard workers, okay? And that translates into, like you already know, into business. So tell me more.
Absolutely. Growing up on the dairy farm, you learn to do whatever the task requires, and there's no excuses. Doesn't matter what goes wrong, doesn't matter how frustrated you are, doesn't matter how cold it is outside or what time of day it is. If work needs to be done, the cattle need to be tended to, the crops need to be tended to, you just do it. And so there's a work ethic that I don't think you can really replace anywhere else in life. I'm really thankful for it, honestly, because it gave me the value and the idea of being able to go after it. And no matter what the adversity or the circumstances, the dairy cows are going to be milked twice a day, no matter what. And so I kind of carried that over with me into business, in which, all right, I'm going to achieve this goal. It doesn't matter how many times something changes, it seems to fail, I'm going to go after it, and it doesn't matter, it's going to happen. So you learn to take those bumps and bruises and just keep pursuing towards the end goal, because that's really everything that matters in life.
Man, I resonate so much with you there. Being from the farm, I'm actually here at my family farm where we used to have 60 head of cattle, where we had a dairy farm. So it's interesting because I know exactly what you're talking about. It would be super cold. You're walking from the house out to the shed, and you've got to grab the metal, the things, for the cows. And anyway, man, that's it's those fun times though. Yes, it's difficult, but there's also some fun involved as well. But
Absolutely.
now looking back at it, you can really see that it's shaping the person that you are today. And of course, you've gone through a lot of, a lot of things within business and partnerships. But sometimes you revert back to, what are the hard days? What were those hard lessons that I learned? So let's fast forward a little bit into, high school and then into college, where what were some of those hard lessons that you had to learn that have shaped you once again into Tyler?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up in high school, like I said, I always had an interest in something different, science and math. And what really drove me as I went forward is growing up out on the farm. I loved growing up out in the country, loved being out in nature. And I was really appreciative of all of the values and the hard work that I learned growing up. But it really frustrated me constantly seeing, my parents and our farm always at the whim and always at the mercy of something else. you know the the stock market, so to speak, of the dairy farming, the milk that we sold for our livelihood, the cattle that we sold, the crops that we sold, the prices were fluctuating constantly. What my parents got paid from one week to the next for the same production was always different. The weather was always a factor depending on what was going on there. And so it was, in the business world, it was all of the adjusting factors and all the things that they weren't in control of that made me want to do something different. And so going into high school and then going towards college, I love the math and sciences, and I wanted to go into a different field for myself, even though I grew up out on the farm. And I didn't know exactly what that was yet at that time, but I knew I wanted to do something different. I wanted to have more control over my own world and be able to dictate what I was going to do and be the creator rather than just do it for somebody else.
The creator.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the creator and Tyler, and when you met your co-founders and how you guys had worked together to create something unbelievable, which we'll touch on later. But what is the creator and Tyler, and where did that come from?
I think the creator in myself came from my love for people, my love for psychology, which again is so relatable to growing up on the dairy farm, obviously. Just understanding how people think and how they feel, and knowing what people want more in life, and just seeing that my world was completely open when I was first introduced to the idea of getting into business. It was expanded exponentially because I just realized all of a sudden I don't have to have a degree in this field or a degree in that field. I don't need anyone else to give me approval or permission to do what I want to do. I can go and do it. We can create it. I can set up an LLC. I can start this corporation. I can just start doing these things. And if I can deliver on a product or a service to somebody and bring value to them to alleviate their problems, to serve them better, you have a business. And so the creator in me had the desire to help people, to serve others, and to do it in any way possible. Wherever there's a need in the world, somebody has a problem or a frustration. If you can solve it, you have a business. And so that idea of being able to create literally anything that you put your mind to was just, um, it was eye opening for me.
That's an incredible attitude to bring in to not only your own business, but now a partnership, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people have to go through certain things in life in order to shape the character of who they are and where
Yeah.
they go with it. And, you brought that in with you. Now, let's talk about partnerships and let's talk about relational building at the early stages of creating a company and how important that is to really identify the character in the people that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so crucial. It's like any relationship in life. You're talking about your marriage, your family life, friendships, coworkers, a colleague, anybody that you're associated with. You really need to know what the values of each person are and where you're going with what you're doing. So creating a business together, you're creating an entire living thing. It's a whole new structure, and it has needs, it has wants, it has all kinds of demands that are required of you as the business owner. And so knowing who your partners are and the people that you're going into business with is absolutely crucial, because you're going to face some real adversity. You're creating opportunities as well as problems, and you need to be able to get through those things together. And that was really a big important thing for all of us. The three of us, we were all three of us, we prayed together, we had fun together, we worked together. We were there to support each other in every way possible, and that was the strength of being able to get through all of those tough times, because we we're venturing into a whole new world. None of the three of us had business backgrounds, had ever had a business before. So it was creating something brand new, which came with all the struggles and the problems of just life and figuring out a whole new avenue that we were going down. And so we did that together, and we're able to support each other every step of the way, which ultimately was the success in everything that we were doing.
Mhm. Just like there are seasons every year, we have summer, winter, spring, and fall. We've got seasons within the maturation of a business, and I want
Mhm.
you to touch on season number one, where you've got your first employee coming in the door, second employee, third employee, and you guys start to scale. So let's go through that one season. Let's talk to the founder out there that is in that position. They're looking
Mhm.
for different employees. They may have an employee or two. What is some of the most important things that you would suggest they do up front?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you're in those beginning stages and you do those first things, it's at the same time, it's the most exciting part of your business. And it's also the most nerve wracking. And I see we did it ourselves. I see a lot of people do it all the time. One of the most important aspects and the most difficult things for a lot of people to do is to realize that as they're growing, you're looking for people to help you. You're looking for people to be able to take over and help administer as many of the processes and the tasks within your company as you can so you can grow, right? And it always sounds good. And so many business owners have this idea of what that looks like until they really get into it. And then they're suddenly broadsided by the idea that, oh, I have to let go of control of this. As I'm bringing in those first few employees, what am I looking for them to do? Well, I want you to go make some sales. We need more sales. We need money coming in. Well, how do you do that? Okay, well, maybe you're in a business where you have to do quotes for people. Well, the owner, I've always done the quotes, so I'm going to continue doing every single quote. Well, how many new sales can you do if you're constantly doing the quotes? You can't grow the rest of the business. You can't bring in more support. You can't hire more people. You can't do anything else. You have to be able to let go of the things and trust in those other people that you're bringing in for them to do a good enough job to be able to expand your business and do it the way that you want. It's the beginning stages also of setting your culture. The culture of your business is its personality. And ultimately, that stems from the top down. So it's also culture is something that's been around for a long time. It's talked about constantly within business. And at these beginning stages, it's really the birth of what is the personality of your company? What are your morals and your ethics? What are your code of conduct? How do you take care of your clients? How do you serve them, support them? How do you sell to them? Those are all of those things. But how do you have fun? How do you handle arguments? How do you handle problems and issues? That's all part of a personality, and that is transferred through your entire business. So this idea of culture that is sometimes kind of vague or convoluted to people, it's really the personality of your business, and that's set by you, the owner. And if you ever see problems in your company, even at that minuscule level of having one, two, or three employees, there are issues, that's on you, and you got to be able to take ownership and responsibility of that.
Culture plays a major factor. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And setting the proper culture and setting the vision for the people that are going to be working with your company is just so important. There's a vision cast that must happen, and it's this constant reflection, course correction, and addition really to
Yeah.
the overall mission and the vision for the company. And sounds like, of course, you guys had that down to a T, or else you wouldn't have gotten to the place that you had gotten. So let's talk a little bit about now. The company is starting to roll, and you're creating a bit of a buzz. Let's talk about some hiccups. Did you guys go anything through cash flow issues, or software that wasn't working, or vendors that weren't performing? Let's talk a little bit about that, because that happens.
Yeah, the answer is yes to all of it. I don't know if you're in business, I think you're gonna face all of those things. It's inevitable, right? Because it's part of learning and growing. You really don't know what you don't know. And so as we started growing, we encountered all of those things. We had suddenly the employees that you have, the number of bodies in the office, it just multiplies into the number of issues that you deal with, right? If a new employee comes in and his or her family is sick and they get sick and they got to be home, that now becomes your problem in the business. Vendor relationships, like you said, I remember in the beginning, man, we had a new vendor relationship because we started out doing credit card processing. We had a new vendor relationship with this company. It sounded so solid and amazing when we first talked to the representatives. We got signed up, went out there, did training at their offices. We came back, and the execution of delivering on the service to our clients was anything but what we thought it was going into it. It actually nearly tanked our business in the early stages because of trying to use this new vendor. And we were locked in with a contract, and we were supposed to use their services, and it was absolutely horrible. We could barely function. It actually took our sales count at this early stage of our business, our early sales count of nearly 100 new accounts a month down to less than 20 of trying, because we were trying to use this new vendor, and it was nearly impossible to get accounts through with them. So, I mean, that's a huge
Those
thing that you
frustrating
can't know
things.
going into it.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
frustrating things they'll arise often within businesses. And really,
Yeah.
the question is, though, to yourself and also to the team that you're putting together, what do you do about it, and how do you bounce back? Because look, as entrepreneurs, we've got to bounce back, and I'd be interested on how you do it.
Absolutely. Um, what we always had in the very beginning, and what I've always strived for myself, is constantly having a positive attitude and always a can-do type of attitude. And at any stage of your life and in your business, it's always the idea of saying, okay, whatever the problem is, you got to be able to step back from it emotionally, take a look at what's actually just happening, and then figure out and say, okay, there's always a solution. You may have to get creative, but figuring out what are our next steps? What do we do about this? For us, when that vendor relationship happened, we just had to sit back and say, okay, how locked in are we? What are our options here? Do we still have other vendor relationships? Can we push through and still satisfy the agreements of our contract? Can we formulate a whole new partnership? Can we go back and restructure with them? What are our options? What's the best course of action for us to take? And so we had to step back from the emotion of it and just take a look at that and figure it out. And you got to go forward with optimism and say, okay, we're going to do something about it, and not just sit back and let it take us down. And that simple concept really is what allows you to sit there and just reflect for a moment and think, there's always some action that I can take. I got to put one foot in front of the other and keep going forward. What am I going to do? And then commit to it and go forward, and don't just sit and let it, paralyze you emotionally.
Entrepreneurs don't take defeat. They
Yeah.
continue to climb, and if there's a wall, they'll figure out how to jump over it. They'll figure out how to dig underneath it. They'll put dynamite together. They'll start doing whatever it takes. And that's one thing that I respect about you and about every one of the founders out there that have to go through the proverbial hell of developing a business, developing relationships, having to manage the scalability of a company, and putting together really what you imagine. It's all about you're creating your dreams to your reality.
Yeah.
And you're going to come up against things, and you're not going to know how to do it, how to get over it. And like you've said today, don't feel bad to ask for help, and always look for that next step, right? Who, not how, is something that I have always heard. So, okay, we're in the season now. You're growing, the company's rocking, and let's go through your next season, right? This is like the third season, basically, where you're starting to look for other ways to increase the overall revenue. So you're starting to look for JV partners. You're starting to look for expansion through multiple arms, cross-selling, upselling, all these different things. Let's go through that process a little bit, because I'm curious on how you guys would look for new industry opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. For us, the natural progression was everything related to payments and automation. That was what our business was focused on. Being in credit card processing, it was about getting businesses paid, automating that, financial transactions. So the progression that we went from just providing the credit card processing services to people was expanding into point of sale systems. In the beginning, we just referred that out to a company that did that. Eventually, we acquired a company, and we would provide those systems for ourselves. Now, this was an expansion on our core offerings. It went right in line with everything that we did, but it also proposed a huge problem in our business that we never expected. When we signed up credit card accounts, it was automatic. The payments are automated through the bank system. Everything is done. The fees and the structures and the profit sharing is just divvied out to everybody, and we automatically got paid. They're automatically processed and nothing has to be done on our part. So we had a seamless flow of passive residual income building, which is what attracted us to the industry in the first place. Now going into point of sale systems, we're selling a physical product, tens of thousands of dollars, and it's up to us to collect money. So now we reach the point of having that great thing called AR, accounts receivable. Go and collect money up front. Half the money, let's say, is what we did on the system. Go and install it, and then afterwards we are just grinding our teeth trying to get the rest of the money, even though we've done our job. And that was a new problem for us. But the awesome thing is, as we continue to grow, that problem actually led to the next solution that was going to be the biggest offering in our company. So just like we touched on a little bit before, every problem is also an opportunity for another solution. And as an entrepreneur, you're always putting that one foot in front of the other and saying, well, what are we going to do about this? We had AR building up, which was killing our company. And we couldn't find a good solution out there that would be a payment acceptance solution to handle our type of business. So we got some programmers together and we just started writing a program and started developing it ourselves. We started just building everything into it that we thought would be important. And we very quickly realized we're not alone. There's a lot of companies out there that could use it as well. So our solution to our own problem then became our next biggest product offering, which was a software offering as a payment portal for IT companies. And that ultimately ended up being the biggest product and service that we had, the fastest growing, and was a phenomenal solution. So, going back to, like I said, our biggest problem that we had at the time ultimately ended up being our greatest achievement in our creation of having the biggest product offering that our clients loved and use continuously to this day. We had clients in every state in the US, all over Canada, Australia, New Zealand, worldwide with that product.
This goes to show you that when there's a problem, there is also a greater solution, and even the world may need, right? So with software, you can also scale, and it's important to know that. So Tyler, people were thinking that you're a programmer, right? But tell me a little bit about what your DNA is and how you're starting to structure this next season of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was, again, kind of going back to me of who I am. I grew up out on the farm and I loved working with my hands and being out in the country. But at the same time, I have this love for math and science. Another love of my life is psychology. And I always loved being in business because I love the mental challenges. I love being able to figure out what is the next step? How do we get over this hurdle? And what do we do to create something positive out of this struggle that we're in now? So I would always tell people about my story and how we started. And we work with a lot of IT companies and we were a tech company ourselves. And people naturally ask, well, were you a programmer? And the funny thing is, I'm anything but. I can't write a single line of code for computers, but I'm a human programmer. I work with your DNA, is what I always say, because I love the psychology and I love helping people understand how they need to reprogram themselves and change their mind, because that's ultimately the solution that gets you over that hurdle and creates the next great thing in your company. So your DNA is the structural makeup of you. And in your entire life, your DNA, that is your domain, which is your personal life, your family, your home, and everything that comes with it, your natural well-being, your physical well-being, your spiritual well-being, how you feel about yourself, and also all of your achievements in life. So your career, your business, your money making, how you support all of those things in your life. Your DNA is every aspect of your life. And at the core of all of that is your mind. It's your subconscious. It's how you feel and how you think about all of the different pieces of your life. So just like in our business, when we had a huge adversity, how we would think and feel about it ultimately dictated what we got next. If we looked at our problem and said, it's insurmountable, I don't know what we're going to do, we're doomed, we're screwed, we're going down, we're losing money. If that was the idea and the feeling that we had, that would lead to us ultimately ending our business and we would go down. Changing my core thinking and our core thinking and rewriting the DNA in our subconscious was a crucial part of that, to say, we're never going down. We're going to figure this out because we created something that created the problem. That means we can create something that also creates the solution. We're never down and out because we always have a next step. And so you have to really retrain yourself and change that so that you are always poised to be able to handle any adversity and take it to the next level. And that's what I love doing with people. I love helping people understand what is their DNA in their life and how do you actually go in and just reprogram the greatest computer you've got, which is that mind, that subconscious mind that helps you think and feel a certain way about every situation in life and create the next step. Find your way out of that hole because no one's going to do it for you. It's all up to you.
Constant transformation and maturation of
Mhm.
us as humans also will transfer into a great transformation and maturation of our business. That's what I have always seen and also experienced and have seen in you and many other people. Let's talk about your maturation and this next, Tyler. After you've stepped away from the current company you're running, there is a massive amount of light and so many opportunities out there that you're developing, along with a lot of other people. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've always had this affinity for wanting to help other people. All throughout the maturation process and the whole life cycle of the previous companies that I was a part of, every chance that it came my way when somebody else was looking for guidance and looking for some help, I just kind of naturally just stepped into that role because I love seeing other people succeed and helping them figure out the hurdles that they're facing that I've maybe gone through myself, so I can just speed that up for them. So when I left those companies, I just had a desire to kind of get my story out there. I wanted people to know all the things I've gone through because one, I'm proud of everything that I've gone through. I think it's worth talking about. And I think that there's too much of that today in which people are shy about it. They don't want to feel like, oh, they're gloating about something or they're, tooting their own horn. Be proud of what you've done. Share it with other people because that's how you help them. They can relate and they can resonate with that. And I love telling those stories. And so I wrote my first book, Start It Now, which really is a story of those processes that I went through and all that maturation process in business and the understanding of how you need to change yourself in order to change what you're going to get in life. And so now I love focusing on other people and other organizations to help them understand that and to go right into the human programming, go right into the brain and rewire everything, reprogram it to do exactly what you want it to do. And that's how you're going to get something better in life.
To get where you've gotten so far, you've had to have amazing relationships. And I'm a firm
Mhm.
believer in creating lifelong, impactful relationships that you can really do a lot right together for the world.
Yeah,
Tell me what your perceptions on relationships are and how you've been able to maintain some of the very rich relationships in your life.
absolutely. My view on relationships is that there's something for all of us to learn from each other, no matter who we are, because it's about experiences. It doesn't matter how much knowledge anybody has on just factual information from a book. It's your experiences in life that set you apart and make you unique. So I look at every single person that I meet in life as a unique individual that has something to teach me. Yeah, I'm always looking to teach other people as well, but as long as I'm also understanding and always viewing that you have something to teach me, there's a mutual value to exchange with every person. And that also comes with a mutual respect. And I think when that's how you approach every relationship and people feel that and they know that and understand that, that's when you get the most out of every relationship. A lot of the people I've met in my life that are the most dear to me and the people that I value and respect the most, I think are the people that have learned to see the value in their own experiences and take the joy in being able to share that with others because then they're doing the same. They're passing it on and they're, helping other people to be better as well.
Being willing and ready to listen to people when they, are speaking with you to build that relationship. How do you decipher whether your ego is getting in the way and you're no longer receptive of what people are wanting to teach or trying to say or teach you? How do you keep that ego in check?
That's a good question. I guess over the years I've learned that um, that subconscious in our mind is really powerful and it tends to take over in almost every situation. And you've heard other people probably talk about it and say, when you're talking with somebody, and your mind starts drifting off and you start thinking of other things, or you're just not listening to them because you're already thinking of your rebuttal and you're just waiting for your turn to speak so you can just fire back at them. I mean, that's when you've already started losing the game, because now you're really not looking for the open opportunity in the conversation to go back and forth and to learn from each other. So it's kind of that's the telltale sign. When I realize that I'm not very actively engaged in the conversation or in the relationship with somebody, is when you start losing, because now you're just becoming, for lack of better terms, egotistical, as you might say. You're becoming self-involved and you're just thinking about your own world and not really stepping into the other person's world. And so that's kind of that
It's interesting.
trigger.
It's interesting, as you know, during conversations when you feel that.
Hmm.
And as humans, we feel that that person is not being as genuine as they could be.
Right.
Their eyes are going all over the room. They're cutting and blurting in on a conversation, and you really start to be disinterested in that conversation.
Hmm.
And I've experienced that. I'm sure you have too. So yeah, just being that genuine individual, taking some time, listening to what they're saying, and asking inquisitive questions, I believe, is very important. So what are you most excited about here moving forward? I know we've gone through multiple seasons in your life. What's the most exciting thing here coming up?
The thing I'm most excited for is the expansion of my mentorship and being able to reach more people and help them do the same thing. I love all the seasons of my life. Every single one of them has a lesson to be learned. And I love being able to share that with other people. I've got a second book that I wrote a manuscript for. So I'm ready to publish that anytime. I've got ideas for a third. And they're just great ways to really put your thoughts down and your emotions down and to be able to help other people. But I love working with people one on one. And I'm excited about the aspect of being able to reach as many people as possible. And my success ultimately is being able to help them understand their DNA in life and reprogram that to overcome the most difficult struggles that they can imagine, and see that there's always a way out. It's literally just a difference in how you think and how you feel about something that will transfer into what you actually get in life and what you create.
Coaching is a big deal, and
Mhm.
entrepreneurs are constantly going through stressful situations. Everything from, like you said, ventures to
Yeah.
employees to I don't know. You didn't have any Did you have investors? Did you start taking extra
No,
outside, or it's all bootstrap?
it was
Okay.
all bootstrapped.
Well,
It was
yeah,
all the way.
yeah. As you know, it's just like you're constantly going through these things. Now,
Yeah.
I'd like to understand your perspective on coaching. And in the position that you are in, did you ever hire anybody? Have you hired anybody? And do you feel that there's massive value in coaching?
Oh, absolutely. I've had I've been very blessed to have some amazing mentors and coaches throughout my life. Um, with the old previous companies, there was a lot of people that we came across that were fantastic mentors to us in every area, from business structure and finance to legal to um, just you name it, other entrepreneurs that wanted to help us as well. And I've always continued that journey. Even in the last few years, I've had multiple mentors that I've worked with as well, because I love constantly pushing myself, and there's always something new to learn. Just like I said before, you have something to learn from everyone. You think about the best in the world. You think about Michael Jordan or Tom Brady in sports. You think about Warren Buffett or Bill Gates in business. They all talk about the coaches and mentors that they have had. And so many people think, well, they're the best in the world at what they do. Who's going to teach them something? But they're humble enough to realize it doesn't matter what level you're at currently. If you're striving for more, you have to have an outside perspective of somebody else that can help you, that can push you, that can guide you, and that can ultimately be that mentor that really gets you to the next level and helps you to improve yourself and continually push the envelope. And so it's always that knowledge that no matter who it is, someone else has something to teach me, and I'm always going after that. That helps me to be better. So I'm always better for the people and the clients that I'm working with.
Man, this is good. So if you were to start all over again, let's just say, what are 5 tips that you would give somebody in starting their business today?
Oh man, start all over again. back at square one.
Yes.
The tips that I would give, first and foremost, would definitely be, since we're talking about it, surround yourself with great mentors and coaches. Just understand your inner circle. It's well known that you are the average of the 5 people that are closest to you in your life. So if you want something more, if you want something greater, you're a business owner, you want to build a business empire, then you should surround yourself with those types of people. People that have blazed the trail that you want to go down and have experience. That's the greatest source of knowledge that you could ever have. Another tip would be to, like I said, realize that you always have something to learn from everybody else. Constantly be pushing yourself as well, and never ever give up. And that's probably the number one lesson of everything. No matter how frustrated things seem, it's an emotion. It's how you view the state that you're in. If you can take a deep breath and you can step back, and that's what I work with clients on the most, is just simply being able to self-assess and understand where you're at and take the emotion out of it. Because when you feel like things are hopeless, that's when they become hopeless. You're never going to achieve your goals. You're never going to grow your business. You're never going to make that right hire. You're never going to increase your sales. Never going to figure out how to train and develop operations in your business if it feels too daunting, if it feels like it's too much or you can't do it. Because you can. You just simply have to believe it, and you have to be able to look at every option and think way outside the box. So I don't know if that was exactly.
Oh, it's okay. I'm not gonna make you do 5, but
Right.
those are some amazing tips. I know everyone out there. It's just you've got to have an ironclad mindset. You hear it over and over again. It's these, it's like taking an ice bath, right? Anyone can do it, but not everyone wants to do it. Right. And as an entrepreneur, everybody wants to see that shiny, get the car, get the whatever. I'm sure, Tyler, you've had it all. Okay. But it takes a lot of work, and it takes dedication, and it takes that ironclad mindset that doesn't allow for any room for negativity or error, right? I mean, it's okay to make an error, but it's how you get back up. And we all know that to be true. What do you say to that, Tyler?
I agree with that 100%. I think that is exactly, that's the biggest key to everything. You're never going to know what's around the next corner, but being prepared for it is about constantly working on yourself and understanding that you ultimately dictate what you're going to have the next day. So you got to be able to be ready to roll with any punches, overcome any adversity, and create the solution to your next problem.
Man, this has been an excellent time. Thank you so much for just stepping aboard here, Tyler, and, sharing some wisdom. You've got a lot of wisdom. You've gone through a lot, and you're now building a whole new brand for yourself. We're excited about that. The entrepreneur community here that we're building. I'd like to direct traffic to Tyler's book. He just had finished out, and it's called Start It Now. You can get it on Amazon, and there's a few other places. I'm sure you can Google search it, but we're excited about that release in addition to his coaching. So once again, if you guys like the Founders Odyssey podcast, where we help to educate, inspire, and create a collaborative environment here for all of the founders out there, if you like it, feel free to subscribe and also share this episode with your friends. And until next time, we can't wait to provide some more content for you guys.